Hey y'all, this is Joefer, the cranky old gay guy, and welcome to Saturday, the 11th of January, 2025. Oh boy. As you'll note at the beginning of this video, I showed a little picture of Anita Bryant stating that she had passed. For those of you who don't know, Anita Bryant was let's just say she was an anti-gay crusader. I don't want to say anything hateful, but I will point out that she did some really horrible things. She pushed anti-gay or fought against protection of gays in Florida and got that overturned. And then she either started or joined Save the Children. And they tried to spread that across the country. And they brought up Prop 8 in California, which I believe would have not allowed gay people to be around children, like schools, that kind of thing. She was very homophobic and anti-gay, lesbian. Anything that wasn't Christian, she was pretty much against. And her belief system, or her way of believing, and the fact that she was a celebrity, she was a singer, and Miss USA, I believe. And she was also the spokesman for Florida orange juice, because a day without orange juice is like a day without sunshine. Yeah, well, after the gay controversial mess that she started, and she was in it for years, the Orange Juice Commission dropped her by like 1980. She was gone. I know that people will say, why aren't you really hard and coming down on her and all that? But I don't think I need to. I think that her actions speak for themselves. She was horrific. She might have been a wonderfully nice person, but just her beliefs and the fact that she wouldn't see it from anyone else's perspective, and it was very hateful in her. She would mask her hatefulness in Christianity and how this is what Jesus wants, but she was full of it, and she continued with her crusades all through her life and multiple husbands. I know she had at least two. I think she actually had three, and it's not because they died. She divorced, which that's against the Bible too. But I guess it doesn't matter because she was Anita Bryant. Okay, she's gone now, age 84. Let's put her on her way and move on. Today's subject is getting into character. That's right, getting into character, just like this. As you know, you have to know if you watch this channel, I wrote a book, and I wrote it in January of 23, so it'll be a 2-year anniversary this month. And I was interviewed 2 or 3 times about the book after it came out, and the big question was always, you're a guy, how can you take over the character of Mildred and write from her perspective? Well, it wasn't that hard for me. I just became her. Does that mean that I put on a house dress, picked up a Bible, and cowered to the man in my life? No, not at all. Instead, I took myself back to a time and place of looking at how a woman in a conservative town, a religious woman, would view the world when she, her lens is this big and the world is this big. She's looking through tinted glasses that are conservative Christian glasses. She doesn't know anyone. Well, she knows one person that's not Caucasian. She doesn't know of any lifestyles except what the church tells her are wrong lifestyles, which are being a hippie and that dreaded homosexuality thing. So it wasn't too hard to put myself into a bigoted mindset, you might say. But then again, I know that she's a very nice woman, so she wouldn't blatantly attack somebody for that. But you know how in the South they'll say, oh, well, bless her heart, or bless his heart, when really they're saying, you're full of crap. Well, that's kind of what Mildred does, but she doesn't say that. She would instead wrap it in, well, Jesus loves you anyway, that kind of thing. And to get the actual flow of how a conversation would go, um, I referred back to letters of my mother wrote me when I was off at school, and they were just catching up on family matters and local gossip. So I kind of took that tone with this. I remember that my mother wrote me that my sister-in-law's mother had died, and she said she went back to visit relatives in, I think, Missouri, and then she said she had a heart attack and up and died. And I thought, wow, that was a interesting way of putting that. She just up and died. And that I use in the book, by the way, when a relative dies in the book. She doesn't have a heart attack. She chokes to death in a restaurant eating food because she won't let anyone know that she's choking because that's unladylike. So she ends up passing because of that. That, and then when my mom passed and cleaning up her stuff, she had several letters that she had written. She had written back and forth to her sisters, and one sister in particular, they tend to write a lot, I guess, because that was most of the letters. And the way they spoke to each other and the way they spoke about the current affairs of the day, I took all that into consideration when I was writing letters as Mildred, because although the letters that I was reading were 10, 15 years after the book, um, similar style. My mother was from a very small town. Her sister's from a small town. They both came of age in the late 40s or early 50s, mid 50s, 50. 45 and 50, I think, is the years that they became full-fledged women. Now, they were married before that coming of age time, but, that's just the way that at least women in the small town that she was from, you get married. You hit 14, 15, you get married. My mother waited until she was 19. I think my aunt got married at 16 or 17, the one that she's writing letters to. So that's where I got the flow of the letters. So becoming Mildred, it wasn't, some of the letters came really quickly and others, they took a while because when you're in character and Mildred's hurting or Mildred's struggling with something, she has a problem, and I am struggling with something and I have that problem, and I begin to tear up and I begin to get choked up when I talk about certain things, or my heartbeat goes up because I'm worried about something like that happening to my daughter or my son. I don't have a daughter or son, but as Mildred, I do. I have 3 kids and a husband. 3 things and a husband that I don't have in real life. So that's how I did that. And it took about 4 months to write the book itself. And living the character, oftentimes I would go back and read 5, 6 letters previous to the one that I'm writing because I want to make sure that I'm still in her mode, you might say. And then when I refer back to things, I would have to go back, and it was all it was in one of these. Just a sec. It was in a book like this, just a book. And by the way, this is the second book. I haven't finished it. And right now, the working title is Book of Gordon, which is kind of the Gordon side of the whole story. But it was all written in longhand and then typed in and edited. So when I had to refer back to something, I would have to thumb through my book saying, okay, where did I say Rachel's birthday? What was it, the 4th or was it the 5th? Jenny's cousin, Susan, is her husband's name Bill or is her husband's name Todd? Oh, I don't remember. So that took time too because I had to jump back and forth. As far as typos go, once the book was published, someone did review it and point out 3 typos, and that was the spelling of the name Rachel. I guess I spelled it Rachel on one page and Rachael on every other time in the book, something like that. I did correct ones that I could find. He said there was another one, but I didn't locate it. So shoot me. Anyway, that's the way that went. Once the book was done, the ending was even harder for me because it's It's not the way that I would have ever reacted in real life, but the way that Mildred reacts and ends this book is similar to the way that I have at least 5 acquaintances or friends in the past. They're all gone now. Um, but their mothers or their Mildreds or their Mildreds and um, dads did pretty much the same thing that Mildred does in this book, which I think is horrible. And again, I would never do that, but it is the way that I perceived a woman in her situation in the 1970s would behave. And on that, I am going to leave Mildred behind because my eyes are tearing up and my voice is choking up just thinking about how she ended the book. I'm not going to give that away. When I do another reading, I probably will never read the last couple letters out loud on screen because that will pretty much give away the ending to the book. And yeah, unless I read every other letter in the book, then that'll just count and then you'll have the whole thing. Okay, that's all I'm going to talk about in regards to that. When it comes to other characters, as some of you know, I was an actor for many years. I never really got in depth as far as film and TV in the character because I was usually just a one-liner or a stand-in or a background, or I got to come into the scene and serve somebody something, but the character was non-speaking or they'd cut my lines, so it didn't matter how I behaved anyway, as far as vocally. That happened on one movie, and that was really disappointing. And the movie flopped, which was fine. I don't think it stayed in the theater one weekend, I think, and it was gone. It was called Frozen Assets, starred Shelley Long and Corbin Burnson, and it took place in, oh boy, either the late 80s or the early 90s. It was after Shelley Long had been discovered in the movie Night Shift with Henry Winkler and Michael Keaton. Then she was a hot commodity, and this, I think, was her next movie. And it was about a sperm bank in a small town. And her romance relationship with Corbin Burnson. And he used to be on LA Law. Again, a lot of you might not know who that is because it went off the air. His show went off the air a long, long time ago, and he hasn't done a lot since. The last time I saw him, he played Emma Stone's father in that really bad Netflix series that was on just this last year. They were influencers, her and her husband, and they went into this town and they'd buy up a property and then renovate it, and they'd do a season on that. And she was all positivity and all this stuff. Oh, it was called The Curse because her husband is nitpicky when it comes to money, and he gave a little girl some money so they could film how charitable he is. And then all he had was like 100, and now he wanted change back, and she wouldn't give it to him, so he took the money back, and it was all caught on film. And the little girl cursed him. So that's what that TV series was about. And again, it wasn't very good. I did not finish it because it was like, this does not hold my interest at all. And Corbin Burnson, he was good in it, the episodes I saw. And he would show his penis a lot to his son-in-law. And he wanted to compare penises because Emma Stone had told her father and mother that her husband has a small penis. And the husband didn't want to talk about it, so Corbin whips his out, and he's got a little teeny penis, and that's kind of like, wow. So they have to compare penises in the show, and that was probably the most memorable part about the series that I remember. Memorable and remember, that kind of makes sense, doesn't it? Okay, how did I get on that subject? Boy, wandering. Oh, I was talking about getting into character for film and stuff. Now, when I've been in a play to get into character, I will read the script, and then I will, on my own, act it out at home, and I will act out other parts that interact with my character. And then you'll go to a rehearsal, and what you have worked on is not what the director wants. So they change everything anyway. But at least I know the character that I'm coming from. And if they don't like that character, I can come up with another one and I know which one doesn't work. So it's pretty much practice. If you want to become somebody else, sometimes it does help to put on a wig and makeup and all that. Or if you're into like visualization, just close your eyes, visualize that character, what they're like, how they sound, how they move, how they walk, what their backstory is, how they would answer 5 questions that might be asked on a first date. Birth sign, what do you like to do? What do you do for work? How do you feel about children? Are you close with your parents? Something like that. Now, are those questions that I've gotten on dates? I've gotten the job question and I've gotten the parents question, but I haven't got the other ones. So that's all I'm going to talk about today. I'm trying to keep this down to 20 minutes or less. It's right now around 15, 16. Please comment and let me know if you have any issues or comments about what we talked about today. And also let me know what subjects you would like me to cover in future videos. That would be fantastic. I do this because I enjoy doing it. As I've said in the past, this is an outlet for me. If you like what I'm doing, feel free to let me know. Hit the like button. I'm also on a thing called Buy Me a Coffee, and the link is in the description if you want to click on that and say, hey, I appreciate what you're doing. If not, leave me a comment. Say, hey, I appreciate what you're doing. That works too. And I will see you all tomorrow, which is Sunday, the 12th of January, 2025. Have a good night. Bye-bye.